This Mission 200 at the Glen DFS Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We are also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHM.
Drivers, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Friday. Oh, sorry. Got excited.
No, I think we all should be excited. TGIF, thank God it's Friday. We have made it to the end of the week, and we have made it to the Xfinity DFS episode here on the Sports Gambling on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. It's Friday. Can we just not get here fast enough? The NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm maybe still Rod Villagomez. The word and the jury is still out on that one. I just don't know anymore. But we've made it. We've made it to Friday. We are now talking Xfinity DFS. For the Xfinity race tomorrow, the Mission 200 at Watkins Glen Road Course Racing. Cody, I don't know about you, but Friday started out perfectly for me. A great sweat this morning as I turned on my DVR, watched the free practice one for F1, and watched Max Verstappen come 3/100ths of a second away from Charles Leclerc for the fastest lap in practice one, only for him to just crush him on the last lap. Max Verstappen plus 450, fastest in FP1. Woo! What a good start to the morning.
Yeah, that. And if you joined us live yesterday evening when we were doing the Xfinity Series picks show, Nico was in the chat from down under giving out picks. Rod, what was it? 46-1. He hit the Verstappen to be fastest and Sergio to be third fastest, which is like, nailed it. Got it. He hit it, and 46-1. Good way to start off a Friday. He was pretty pumped, as were anybody that tailed him. So good for you guys. Love it. And yeah, good start to the F1 weekend. And cars on track tomorrow. We're getting close, and I'm excited for some road course racing. This is obviously a loaded field. We talked about it yesterday in the betting episode. Just to kind of like retouch on that, because it is, if you haven't had a chance to listen to that yet, here is the notables. Rod, we've got Joey Logano back in the 15, William Byron in the 17, Tyrone Gibbs in the 19, Eric Almirola in the 20, Connor Zilich in the 88, Ross Chastain in the 92 car. Those are all the Cup Series. Almirola, he still kind of was a Cup driver, right? So those are all the guys coming down this week, final time of the season that the Cup Series guys can compete in the Xfinity Series. They're taking full advantage of it.
Yeah, packed house for sure in the Xfinity Series. And look, you would have won more money betting on Max in the practice than you would betting on Shane Van Gisbergen to win this race at plus 160 something. So go back, listen to the betting episode. Say again.
I think he's plus 110 is what I saw.
Oh, so. Jesus. Yeah, no, thank you. Go
try.
back, listen to that episode.
Maybe we'll talk about SVG a little today, Rod.
We may. His name's going to probably come up because you can't really do an Xfinity episode on a road course without bringing his name up. But right. It is the Mission 200 at the Glen. We are set for 82 laps around this 2.450 mile road course for 200.900 miles. So as you can guess, laps led can come into play if one particular driver drives away with this. Now, stage racing is a thing here, so we do see drivers flip stages and lead some laps under caution and stuff. So one driver may not jump out and lead a ton of laps. So we may be able to spread this around some, but there will be 3 or 4 drivers that we've got our eyes on.
You're probably still mostly going to get a driver that leads a good majority. Even if we have the flip-in laps, it's only going to be 3, 4 laps, maybe 5 laps that, that transitions for each stage. So it's going to be somebody's going to jump out front. Somebody's going to lead a lot of laps, and that's likely what we're going to see.
Indeed. Speaking of leading, we have the leading experts on the against the spread and picks for the NFL and college football in our own sports gambling podcast family. The creators of the Sports Gambling Podcast, Sean and Ryan, and then, of course, the Danta base out there in the college football world are in full swing right now making picks against the spread for free. So go make sure you subscribe to the Sports Gambling Podcast and the college football experience out there, wherever you find your podcasts up to and including this one. Tell you what, you're missing out if you're not following those guys because they are money. So, all right. Again, Cody, we are talking DFS for this, which means we will give you our favorite high price, mid price, and low price drivers for the slate, as well as give you our underdog plays for this as well, because we're late last week for it.
Yeah. It actually sort of worked out how things fell. Full day of Xfinity talk, and there is Xfinity Series projections up, so we get to talk about those. Pretty excited about that, Rod. You ready to get into it?
I'm ready to get into it. It's Friday. Let's go.
Let's get into it. I think that, so, kind of looking at how this is laid out, this is an absolutely loaded field. Probably whoever ends up starting on the pole is, if it's one of the heavy hitters, right? SVG, Byron, Gibbs, Allmendinger, whoever it is, everybody's going to play them, but you're probably going to have to play them as well because chances are that person's going to jump out, lead a lot of laps early, right? But I'm just going to go straight to the top of the board, Rod. $11,000. He's plus 110 to win this race for a reason. SVG. Look, we didn't really talk about him yesterday on the betting episode other than to say he was too hard to bet on because of his price. And that's the case, right? It's not that we don't think he's going to win this race. It's not that we don't think he's going to be good. It's just we have to come at this from a betting aspect of things. And when you're looking at the value that's out there, there's not a lot for the competition that's in that field. But on the DFS side of things are definitely a little bit different over here. He is the highest priced driver on the board at $11,000, but he is going to be well worth that $11,000, Rod. We've obviously seen the entire season what he's been able to do, right? Coda leads 20 laps, gonna win the race. Obviously, there was the out-of-bounds deal, ends up in 27th, but he probably should have won that race, right? I think we're going to go ahead and give that to him. Portland, he did only lead 12 laps after starting in second place, so that is notable, but he did win the race, Rod, so got it done. Go to the Chicago Street Course, leads 14 laps, wins the race there as well. Sonoma leads 32 laps, wins the race. So 3 wins on the season. All 3 are road course / street courses. Potentially could be 4 with Coda tossed in there. Didn't quite get it done there. But SVG, obviously, look, we've all seen what he's been able to do. We all know who he is at this point. And, while the Cup Series is kind of a different conversation, he's owned the Xfinity Series this year. It is a stacked field. It is a loaded field. I think that could make things tougher. But this is still his series right now. He drives these cars each and every single week. So, yes, Ty Gibbs is good. Yes, William Byron is good. They're not as used to these Xfinity Series cars. Obviously, they've got experience. Byron's a former champion. Gibbs a former champion. They've gotten it done, right? But I think SVG does have a leg up. And $11,000, I think we couldn't let this week go by without talking about him in a positive manner. So just going to start with him at the very top of the board, $11,000. I think you're going to have to find a way to squeeze him in.
This is the only way that you can really be extremely profitable off of SVG. I mean, again, you can be profitable if he wins, especially even at plus 110 right now that he's going off of. It's not as if you're not going to win money, but if you have a lineup in DFS in a big money tournament and he goes out and performs the way we think he's going to, you stand to win a little more money versus what you have to put in to get enough back to make him worthwhile betting on.
Yeah, and I would say fade him in a few lineups too, because he is going to be the most popular guy on the grid. I think almost no doubt. Maybe if Gibbs or Byron gets the pole, they would edge him out, but everybody's going to want to play him. We've all seen what he's done all season on road courses. There's a good chance that we see that again, right? Even even if a Byron pulls out the win or a Gibbs, like he's going to be right there in the mix, going to be battling with them. He's going to get that good finish. Obviously, finishing position matters a lot more here than other places because you have less laps led. So, yeah, SVG definitely need to be highlighted.
Yeah. And even in the races that he won, he got you 56 points in Portland, 62 in Sonoma, and then another 50 plus in Chicago. So even at $11,000, if he's getting you 4 or 5 times your return on investment,
yeah,
and
numbers are lower. Like those are good numbers for a road course because there's not as many laps led. There's not as many fast laps because there's a lot less laps. So yeah, it all works out.
Yes, it does. All right. I'm going to go a little bit lower. Justin Allgaier, I brought him up in the betting episode yesterday, but I'll bring him up here again. He's $10,000. It's a little pricey for what I would want to pay for him, but I'll say this. He is the highest in terms of fantasy points per race among active drivers. The only 3 drivers that are ahead of him are Eric Almirola, but we know that he's not a full-time driver, and then young Austin Green, but we know that he's only won 3 races so far this season, and then William Byron, who's run 1 race or 3 races this season, rather. Sorry. And so those 3 aren't even full-time drivers. However, Justin Allgaier slates in 40.7 fantasy points per race. The next full-time driver behind him, Cole Custer at 37.1. Justin Allgaier is not necessarily bad at road courses. We talked about it yesterday a lot about his road course prowess, but this track in particular, really damn good. 7 top 10s in 12 starts, 4 top 5s. The last couple of years have not been kind to him. Started 10th in 2022, crashed out, finished 38th. Started 3rd last year, ended up finishing 16th. He's not going to lead you a ton of laps, unfortunately. That's the sad part about it. So if you're taking a chance on Justin Allgaier, you're kind of hoping that he bucks the trend. He's only led 15 laps in total in 12 starts on this track, but we also know the potential is there for him to be able to come out and do well on road courses because he's a sneaky good road course racer, as I said last week or yesterday, rather, at Austin, right at Coda. He's got a 3rd place finish and a 5th place finish in his career, so not bad there. Portland overall, 3 top 5 finishes in 3 starts, so all 3 of his finishes have been top 5s, a 5th place, a 2nd place, and a 2nd place there. At Sonoma, he's got 2 top 10 finishes in both of his starts. Both of them bucking for top 5s, a 7th place and a 6th place. So good on road courses in the Xfinity Series is Justin Allgaier. And I think a $10,000 investment, you want at least 2 to 3 times out of what you're getting for him. 3 essentially. But if he gets you 30 to 40 points like he averages most of the time throughout the season, I think it's a good investment. I don't know that a lot of people are going to be on Justin Allgaier. So I think you'll be able to sort of differentiate yourself there just in case SVG kind of dumps and maybe has trouble on lap 1 and takes himself out. I think Justin Allgaier is a good backup for that.
Yeah, well, and I think Allgaier is a very good play to differentiate yourself, right? The 4 guys above him are all going to be popular. It's SVG, it's Allmendinger, it's Gibbs, it's Byron. Those are the 4 guys, right? The big 4 in this race. Allgaier is kind of that next guy. He's going to get overlooked because he's still $10,000. Like, I don't want to pay up for him when I can pay a little bit more and get Allmendinger and Byron and Gibbs. And so people are just going to go right past him. Well, we've seen the last 2 years, right? Gibbs dominates the race, but gets dumped by Sam Mayer last year. The year before that, Gibbs and Byron, both fast, both good, both lead a lot of laps, take each other out. That's when a guy like an Allgaier comes in and ends up, paying off for you because, yeah, these guys were fast. They were good. Of course they were. We expect them to be, but something happened, right? Whether it's a pit road mistake, whether it's a wreck, wrong place, wrong time, cardboard sign falls out of the sky and cuts a tire and they go into the wall. Who knows what happens, right? We've seen crazy things. So yeah, he's a really good play to differentiate yourself from everyone else because not a lot of people are going to play him. He does have that upside. Allgaier could go out and beat these guys and win this race. It's not an impossible thing to happen. We talked about him on the betting show yesterday. Very, very good and kind of underrated road course guy. So really like Justin Allgaier.
It's funny. I feel like you almost did what I did yesterday in that I was talking about Allgaier and I tripped up and almost said Almendinger. So it's like
The names are very similar, Rob.
Yeah, I had my arm around Allgaier, and I was like, "What's up, Allmendinger? I mean, Allgaier. Allmendinger. Hi, Justin. It's good to see you again." Yeah. So I like Allgaier, and I like him even better now that you talked him up some more, because I really do think that it's a decent play to differentiate yourself. So. All right, we got some mid-tier drivers for you, but first, let me take this opportunity to formally tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times your entry. The NFL's back, as we all know. Last night's game, man, I tell you what, that was something special for those of you who are Bills fans. Tables were not safe last night. There's a ton of Pick'em specials, though, to get you through and get you started, plus great action for college football. Of course, as we know, we got NASCAR, we got Xfinity, we got Cup Series, we've got F1 as well, so make sure you take full advantage of that. The lobby's jam-packed with profit boosts and no-sweat entries. You can also use your specials and boosts on all flexed entries. We're going to give you our favorite underdog plays for this race after our DFS plays, so sign up now. In the meantime, as you're listening to the rest of this, with our promo code RACE-SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACE-SGPN.
I don't know if you noticed, Rod, over on Underdog, they got a 30% boost right now.
Ooh.
30% profit boost. So you can add it to any entry you want. They also have a 25% profit boost. So, you could play each of those in different DFS or whatever underdog lineups. It is DFS. It's fantasy, right? So There you go. Yeah, but good again. And like CD Lamb, they had like half a reception. They got all kinds of stuff. They're always giving you good deals to boost that number up a little bit for you.
Give you a little bit of extra nudge in there to get you over the hump. So, all right. Speaking of getting you over the hump, saving money will get you over the hump in this DFS lineup. Who are we stepping down to for our mid-tier drivers?
Yeah, Rod. I don't know if I'd call it a step down, but mid-tier driver, Austin Green. We talked about him on the betting episode yesterday a little bit. I think it was JB that had brought him up. We hit him earlier on the season. Big number for a top 5. Loved it. Again, the betting number kind of got nuked. Wasn't really worth placing a bet on, but for DFS, he's a guy that's going to be going in my lineup. Austin Green, Rod, 4 career starts in the Xfinity Series. They've all come this season. Started back at Coda early on. 7th place finish after starting in 25th, 55 points. Then they went to Portland, starts in 26th, finishes in 15th, 39 points. Then the big one, Rod, we go to Sonoma, I believe this one was 58.5 points, starts in 22nd, finishes in 4th, cashes a set ticket, tosses in a fast slap just to top it off with 56 points. And then even Chicago, 43 points, starts 19th, finishes in 10th place. So he's specifically only starting on road courses. That's something you want to target. The Jordan Anderson cars are not bad cars. The cars have held up well for him. He's done really well. He's got 4 starts, 4 top 15 finishes. 3 of them are top 10s. One of them's even a top 5. So love the kid. The salary price has gone up, right? Not the $5,600, $5,800 we were getting him earlier in the season, but even at $8,100, still going to take him. I think people are going to scroll right over him because you'll be jamming in these guys at the top. SVG, you got to get Ty Gibbs, got to get William Byron. Then you're not going to have any money left. You're going to go right over a guy like this. And he's the type of guy that's going to get you a nice, solid, strong day. I think he's got that top 10 ability. Again, I wish we could bet the top 10s, but since we can't, we're going to play him here in DFS. So give me Austin Green at $8,100.
Yeah, and it's a name that a lot of people don't recognize. And so the casual players, if you can find the right tournaments to enter where there's not a lot of logos that you recognize, then you could probably get over on an Austin Green because, like you said, a lot of the casual fans are going to be like, I don't know who Austin Green is. He's only run like 3 races this season, so it can't be all that good. But, yeah, take full advantage of that by listening to us and playing the Austin Greens. Somebody else who I think that you can differentiate yourself with is a guy like Josh Williams. Not a name we bring up very often, but we've talked about his teammates a ton already. AJ Allgaier and Shane Van Gisbergen, right? Both colleague teammates of Josh Williams. Look, the colleague equipment is not bad on road courses. I'll tell you that right now. Unfortunately, the driver is what makes a little bit of the difference in this. However, for Williams, at Austin, he started 9th place. So he started within the top 10. Unfortunately, that car overheated. He ended up finishing in 38th In Portland, though, started 22nd, turned up 7th in that race. So not a bad DFS day for Josh Williams in that one. He got you 52 points in that race alone. We talked about with Shane Van Gisbergen getting you like 50 some odd points. Josh Williams got you 50 some odd points that day as well, just by making up all those place differentials for you. Then Sonoma, not a good day. He crashed out of that one, finished 37th, but turned around in Chicago. Started 30th, finished 12th. So again, not a bad day there. Got you 49 points on that. This is a play at $6,500 that is going to be fully GPP play. You're not going to put this in a cash lineup because you can get the 37th place finish from Josh Williams, but you can also get the 7th place finish from Josh Williams. It's just a matter of how much faith you put in his ability to run as, I can't say as good as his teammates, because his teammates are going to be up in the top 3 for most of the day. You'll be happy if he's up in the top 10 for most of the day, and you'll be even happier if he ends up starting in the 20s, in the mid 20s, 25 and above. So if he can do that and get you at least 10 or 15 places in differential points, then you'll be happy, because that's exactly what you need out of a guy who's 6,500. He's averaging 25.4 fantasy points per race this season, average finish of 20th. But, again, if he can get up into the top 10, well, okay, let's be honest. If he can get in the top 15, the upper end of the top 15 after starting in the mid 20s, then that is a day you'll take out of Josh Williams.
Yeah, no arguments here. Oh, by the way, who's he been preparing for this race with all week? AJ Allmendinger, SVG. They don't know anything about road course racing, right? He's been hanging around those guys all season. Probably not too bad if a little bit of their type of driving rubs off on you, Rod. And yeah, he's had a strong season, so I like it. All right, Rod, going to the bottom of the barrel. Gotta have to save some money if you're gonna get these big dogs in there. Kyle Sieg, I think, is a good way to do that. $5,400. Talk about his brother a lot all the time. Absolutely love Ryan. Pump him up. Kyle, though, quietly does a pretty good job. First of all, he's just consistent on a week-to-week basis. He's averaging 26.1 points per race this season, $5,400. That's a good deal. You go back and you just kind of look through his log, like 39, 29, 47, 13, 29, 36, 33, 44, 40. Like, he's had some really, really good days of late. But he's actually been pretty solid on the road courses. You go back and you look through what he's done this season, starts 37th at Portland. That means we got a lot of place differential we can get, right? Finishes in 18th position. That is a really, really strong finish for somebody at this price. Sonoma, not a very good qualifier, I think, is what we're going to learn here, Rod. 32nd place start, finishes up in 23rd, though. Again, you'll take it. Chicago didn't qualify well. 35th, 22nd place finish. You'll love to see that. You go back to last season, and it's kind of a lot of the same thing. Here at Watkins Glen, Rod, he started in 37th place, ends the race in 19th, exactly what you're looking for. Did have a rough day at the Roval last year and at Portland, but I think he's definitely learned some more and kind of come a long way. Even Coda last year starts 38th, finishes in 26th. So not good qualifier, Kyle C., which means, again, that floor is not, it's not a very low floor, which is nice. And he's got a lot of upside and tends to go through the field and get a good solid finish. Top 20, top 25. You're having a good day at 5,400 with Kyle Sieg.
Yeah, you are. And like you said, we talk about his brother a ton. Tend to forget about it. Kind of like Taylor and Tanner. You feel bad for Tanner because Tanner's the older brother. And
he is the Tanner. And I think Kyle's actually the younger one in this case, but he is the Tanner Gray of this thing where he's actually got some promise and some good stuff. It's the same cars that Ryan's in, right? They're both the RSS, the team, the family-owned cars. Ryan's been doing it a lot longer and has a lot more experience, but Kyle kind of pops up here and there, and you just kind of notice him being very consistently getting some points, right? He's taking what probably isn't the greatest car in the world. It's not being prepared like Ryan's is in the SHR shop a lot of the times, but he starts bad, keeps, minds his P's and Q's, keeps it clean, and just kind of works his way forward and stacks those pennies, as some other drivers would say.
Yeah, well, those pennies are not being stacked nearly as much as they were before. All right, I'm gonna take it all the way down. We're gonna take this all the way down to the last possible driver that you can take, other than Mr. Kyle Keller down there at the very bottom. We're not even going to talk about Kyle Keller. We're going to talk about Thomas Annunziata at $4,600, the kart champion, the Trans Am racer, the guy that's just basically kind of a cheat code for you, because even if he starts at the bottom and finishes at the bottom, then you're going to get at least the bare minimum of points for him. He's averaging 11 points per fantasy race this year because he's only been in 2 races so far this season. However, I'm not necessarily all that disheartened by it. He did get you 23 points the last time he was out, and at $4,600, that's a nice, and that's at Pocono, by the way. 23 points at Pocono. He started 37th, finished 28th. Unfortunately, though, at Sonoma, started 26th, finished 34th. He only got you -1 point in that one. So not necessarily a great day there. Chicago, he didn't even qualify, unfortunately, so that's kind of rough. But in the ARCA series this year, a 2nd place finish at Daytona, 12th place at Talladega, 4th place at Mid-Ohio. That's the one that you really want to kind of circle around and get there. It's not a super speedway, but yeah, Mid-Ohio, 4th place for him. Look, this is, like I said, a guy with a pulse that has the opportunity to get you 20 some odd points, because he's going to start in the back and maybe work his way up to 28th, right? Which, again, for a guy that starts in the back to work his way up to 28th at $4,600, 20 points, you'll take that all day long. Because if you look around where he's at, like I talked about Kyle Keller, talk about Ryan Ellis, and then there's R.C. Emerson in there, Leland Honeyman, who we bring up a ton, but on these particular tracks, no. And then Jay Bierford, can't even count on him to make the race. Blaine Perkins, Kyle Sieg, Josh Palicki. I mean, you brought up Kyle Sieg, and that's about as low as you can go without the rest of that. So I think if you're going to try to cram some of these higher guys in, I think you go with the guy that you pretty much can guarantee is going to start toward the back, if not even barely qualify to make this race in the first place. Of course, keep an eye too, because if he doesn't qualify, then you can't use him. But if he does and qualifies poorly, he's got nowhere to go but up. And he's proven that he's a good enough racer to make his way through the field for at least 5 or 6 positions and kind of beat some of these other back markers that are going to take themselves out or, do silly things to get in trouble. So, yeah, listen, we're going to say his name probably once, and that's it for the rest of the season. But Thomas Annunziata, welcome to the DFS show.
Welcome. I know Ricardo's going to be a big fan of this play. He was talking about him yesterday on the betting show. Thinks he has top 10 upside. I don't know if he's going to be that good, but he does have that road course racing background that you're really looking for. And yeah, I think he'll be a different play that is cheap, save you some money so you can get these big dogs in your lineup and maybe have some upside to him.
Top 10 upside. Boy, if he does go out and turn out a top 10, then
ooh, buddy,
your DFS day just got...
That's a hell of a DFS day at that price.
Tasty. Absolutely tasty, especially if he starts in the back. All right. That was it. So get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our DFS plays for this slate. Cody started you off with SVG at 11. I don't know that we'll ever be able to say his name. We always have to chant.
We just have to chant it.
Yeah, that's contractually obligation at this point. SVG at 11,000. I said Justin Allgaier-Dinger-Allman at 10,000. It's Justin Allgaier. I don't want to get you guys confused. At $10,000 is my play. Cody stepped down to Austin Green at 8,100. I said Josh Williams at 6,700. Cody said Kyle Sieg at 5,400. I said Thomas Annunziata at $4,600 is my driver for the low price on this. Okay, we will come right back. We're going to give you all of our favorite underdog plays for this particular race because we found some. Let's put it that way. Who are they? I'll tell you after this. Let's tell you about BetUS. We're brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business, BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 40 years. Bet anywhere. BetUS is available in tons of locations, including internationally. BetUS has a massive props menu, same game parlays, and some of the best boosts in the business, guaranteed. Plus, an all-new live betting experience. Easily deposit your using cryptocurrency to get lightning fast payouts, as Cody said before. That kind of helps in some places, so you might want to make sure you take care of that. We found a great Justin Allgaier top 5 bet on BetUS last night. So plus 225 for Justin Allgaier to finish inside of the top 5. Absolutely love that. Crush that one and take advantage of it. Use our link to sign up and get 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. Promo code SGPN so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? I think you do. I think you guys are all smart enough to do that. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model. Copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard or press Build a Model for me, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trends analysis to give you even more betting insights. Used Rhythm last night to predict the rushing total for one James Cook. Leaned me toward the over, and guess what? Absolutely nailed it. Rhythm helped me to put out a winning bet for that one as well. So excited to share that with you guys and have you guys jump on board too. Claim your 7-day free trial. It's free. It's even better by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, Cody. Underdog Fantasy, the presenting sponsor of this show, has given us some finishing positions in which we need to wrestle with trying to go better than or worse than. What have we come up with, Cody?
Yeah, they're walking. Boy, they have good projections this week. We'll put it that way, Rod. It's Xfinity Series. There's definitely some tough ones, but did find a couple we like. And I'm going to Cole Custer better than 8.5. Look, this is just a guy that goes under the radar each and every single week, but he gets it done. Rod, go back to Coda. 4th place finish. We think about SVG in that race and Larson and this battle and all this crazy stuff. Cole Custer just chugging along, finishing in 4th place, getting things done for you. Last time I checked, that is better than 8.5. Then you go on to Portland, 6th place finish. He's just hanging out there, better than 8.5 for you. Again, those are like the only road course. Well, Sonoma as well, I guess. 9th place, so just one spot outside of there. Chicago Street wasn't the best day for him. Last year, though, Cole Custer, talk about right place, right time, Rod. He got some stuff done last season. Sonoma, remember that loaded field of Cup Series drivers. Eric Almirola steals the win. All, Kyle Larson and AJ Allmendinger and Ty Gibbs. And, oh, look, there's Cole Custer finishing in 6th place, getting it done for you once again. Won at the Chicago Street Course, if you count that as a race even. 6th place at the Indianapolis Road Course. Watkins Glen here last season, Rod, 7th place. That's better than 8.5. Oh, we're not done yet. The Charlotte Road Course, 2nd place there. What about Portland, though, Rod? Oh, yeah, he won that one as well. So Cole Custer gets it done. Cole Custer is just like the best at just being there. Like he's very often not flashy, doesn't win a ton of races, doesn't lead a ton of laps. He's always going to be right there in the top 5, or in this case, in the top 8 for you at the end of these road courses, which is what you're looking for. So Cole Custer, better than 8.5.
You know, you talked earlier about Underdog setting up some really good finishing projects. I think they were just tired of us being down on them or jumping all over their miscalculations, because they really tightened it up this week for sure.
Yeah, we might have destroyed them last week. So
see, this is what we got. We got to keep our mouth shut like Cole Custer. We just got to go out and take care of business without being flashy.
That's the problem with this show sometimes, is you tell everybody else about all these great things, and then the great things aren't there anymore.
It's a constant battle. It's cat and mouse game between us and the books, us and the DFS, because they listen. You don't think they don't listen? They listen. They know exactly what we're talking about on a week-to-week basis. They're out there scouting us. But yeah, as far as Cole Custer is concerned, as an owner, as a team owner, I don't know. Sometimes, do you want the guy that's going to eat all the press and suck all the oxygen out of the room, or do you want the guys that just consistently go out and perform? Right? That's kind of where you're at. Who do you want? Do you want the guy that keeps bringing home the steady paycheck?
I have Gene Haas on the phone. He likes the steady guy.
Yeah, he does. You know why? Because he's bringing him back, and he's the only one he's bringing back for the most part. So, love it. All right, mine. I'm going to show some love to Jesse Love. We didn't talk about him. We kind of brushed over him a little bit in the betting episode yesterday. But look, Underdog's got his projection set at 12.5. Again, a really good projection. Why? Because in Austin, At Coda, he finished 6th place, right? Now, again, this is a very young driver, obviously making his first full Xfinity Series starts this year. So not a lot of history for road courses to draw off of, but what we've seen from him is highly encouraging. Like I said, Coda started 14th, finished in 6th. In Portland, he started 12th, but Portland's tricky. Portland's got a lot of landmines for young drivers to kind of trip over. Still finished 19th, not inside the top 12, but a promising day for a guy taking Portland. What does he do? He turns around, uses his road course knowledge to finish 12th at Sonoma. Qualified 6th too, by the way, which means he's showing speed on these tracks. He's just got to get his feet underneath them to be able to turn these into finishes. Well, guess what? Chicago street course came back, qualified 8th, finished in 5th. Now it's a street course. I get it. There was mitigating circumstances. There was water all over the place. There was all kinds of crazy stuff going on in Chicago that weekend. But I will say that if he can withstand all of the nonsense that happened in Chicago, Watkins Glen, it's its own beast. We know that. We talked about that. It's just a difficult situation to navigate. But if he can start toward the front, if he can start inside the top 10, I feel confident enough that he's learned enough over the course of the season to be able to hold course and finish somewhere in that vicinity, and definitely no worse than 12th place for Jesse Love. Look, he started on the pole in Atlanta the last time out. That car has got speed for days. It's just about him learning how to keep it in the front of the pack without getting caught up in other people's nonsense. So again, Jesse Love, I feel like 12.5 is it's a good line. It's actually not disrespectful at all. It's within the range of possibilities, but I do believe he's going to be a top 10 car this week. If we could have placed a top 10 bet on him, I would have loved to, just can't do it. So
yeah, no arguments from me. I think you made the case for him yesterday, made the case for him again today. And I like the case that you made. So got nothing bad to say about that, Rod. This one I've waffled. I've changed it in the document multiple times. I can't decide if I want to take the over or the higher or the whatever, the better or the worse are the words I'm looking for, Rod. Sam Mayer. I made the case both ways yesterday on the betting episode, and I'm sort of going to do the same thing here. So his projection is set at 8.5. I think that the way to go about this is to take the worst, because we're already betting on him top 5. We're already betting on him to win the race. And I think that those are a possibility because of what we saw last year. We've seen that upside that he has, right? But we're also fading him in the Justin Allgaier matchup. And the more and more I look at him, like I do love the top 5 in the win bet because of the number. But in a general sense, like if you were to tell me right now, you got to bet one way or the other, is he going to be better than or worse than 8.5? I would take the worse than because of what we've seen from him lately. And that's essentially what we're doing in fantasy projection here with Underdog, right? So give me the worst then, 8.5. Rod, over the last 9 races in the Xfinity Series schedule, Sam Mayer has finished better than 8.5 0 times. He has 2 10th place finishes. Those are his 2 top 10s in those 9 races. Go back and you look at road courses and street courses this season. 3rd at Sonoma, so he would have been on the better than side there. But otherwise, 28th at Portland. Again, he was 3rd place in the last lap, but he didn't finish better then. 9th place at Coda, 19th at Chicago, 18th at Road America. None of those on the better than side. Of course, you've got the flip side of things last season. 3rd at Portland, won the Roval, 1 here at Watkins Glen, 2nd at Indy, 1 Road America, 10th at Sonoma, 7th at Coda. So if you're convicted on the other side of things for Sam Mayer, I think you could do it. But I think the much safer side, just what we've seen from Sam Mayer here lately, take the worst then. He's also now in that weird transition spot where he's going to SHR next year, right? And he's going to be one of the Xfinity Series drivers for them. It's a Ford team. This is a Chevy team. It's different in the Xfinity Series. They don't really cut the info off like they do in the Cup Series. It's not the same type of info, of course. But he is sort of that lame duck, if you want to say right now, going over there. So I'm going to take the worst then side of Mayer, because I'm also sort of hedging myself for my bets, which if they hit, I'm going to be happy that way. So again, sometimes you just got to walk that line of, we can make this work for us both ways. If he finishes great, then good, we hit those bets. If he doesn't, we got the head-to-head to fall back on. We got the underdog to fall back on. And yeah, I think that's the way to go. So worse than 8.5 for Sam Mayer.
Yeah, and you're not sinking a ton of money into him as a top 5 car either to sort of be profitable. You can just, sprinkle whatever you can on there. And then with these lineups, you stand to win more, especially if you start to stack these multipliers up a little more than you would if you would have won that top 5 bet. So, yeah, you're not crying if he does not finish better than 8.5. All right. If this were Coda, I would not tell you to take this worse than. If this was Portland, I would not tell you to take this worse than. If this was Sonoma, I wouldn't tell you to take the worse than in this instance. But I will tell you, because this is Watkins Glen, to take Austin Hill worse than 9.5. Rod, are you crazy? He finished second twice at Coda. Yeah, he did. He also finished 37th once in there. But, I mean, again, you're going to point to the second place finishes, and rightfully so. But Rod, he finished 3rd, 5th, and 11th at Portland. Yes, he did. But he did finish 11th last year in Portland. But you're going to point to the other ones. And that's fine. But Rod at Sonoma, he finished 8th and he finished 5th. That's better than 8th place, or 8.5. It is. However, allow me to point to your direction. Watkins Glen finishes in the last 2 races that Austin Hill's been in. 30th and 14th. Nowhere near the 8.5 that you would need, the 8th place finish that you would need from Austin Hill. I don't know what it is about his 2 times around this track that has made him absolutely bonkers, not good, but he's not good at Watkins Glen. I know it's a small sample size, but again, 2 times you've tried, 2 times you failed. The 3rd time you could essentially do it. That's fine. I mean, he doesn't lack the road course talent to be able to get up there and to do good things at road courses. However, as Cody has said before, this field is stacked. You got to give at least 5 spots to Byron, to Gibbs, to Allmendinger, to Shane Van Gisbergen, to Justin Allgaier. You may have to give one to Sam Mayer. It's getting crowded up to Cole Custer. It's getting crowded up there. I'm losing the amount of fingers that I need to show you on the screen.
I hope you're not losing fingers, Rod.
We'll
Trying to get that checked out.
We'll see about that. I don't know. I'm not drinking nearly enough water anymore, so maybe my lips are falling off. But no, I'm running out of room to tell you where Austin Hill fits into the top 8 of this particular race. So yeah, when we talked about the road courses earlier this season, Byron wasn't in a couple of them, right? And so yeah, Austin Hill may have snuck into there in the earlier road course races, but to go from 14th to 8th, 30th to 14th was a big jump. Yeah, but that's because, he started 8th in that particular race and fell back. He only finished 73 laps too. And as a matter of fact, so again, not a lot of faith in Austin Hill this week. Give me the worse than 8.5. Yeah,
I like this too. And I made the case yesterday for Austin Hill top 5. This is again where you have to look at all of these things and look at the circumstances and scenarios around it, right? We made the case for him to finish top 5, or I made the case for him to finish top 5 yesterday, because I think that it's possible. And I think that at 5-1, it's definitely worth making that bet. But he's never done it at Watkins Glen. We've got this loaded field. There's things stacked up against him in a way. So as far as projecting his fantasy finish, not getting a 5-1 on him finishing better than this number, right? I think that's why you do go with the worse than side. So it is one of those things where, again, people are like, oh, how come you didn't talk about Kyle Larson? How come you didn't talk about SVG? Or it's all about the numbers and everything else that surrounds it. The case is there to be made for Austin Hill to finish in the top 5. It's absolutely possible. And a 5-1, it's worth betting on. But if that was even money, absolutely not. You're not going to take it, right? And when this fantasy projection is set where it's at, I think it's an appropriate set place. But I do think the worse than side is the way to go. So again, it's all about the numbers around things and in what type of way you're looking at it and the return on your investment, sort of in when they finish there, right? When he just finishes in 10th place or worse, that's what you expect. But sure, in you run this race 10 times, 1 or 2 times he's going to finish in the top 10 or 5. Well, that's what you're looking for to cash the 5-1 side of things. So yeah, I think you're spot on there. I think that this has clearly been one of his worst road courses. And while he's been good in general at road courses, not so much here at Watkins Glen. So I like it. Rod, the last one for me. I don't know why I do this to myself. I don't know why I'm doing it again, but here we are. I guess since I'm making a play on him, I will say his name only one time, so listen closely. Chandler.
Sorry.
Rod got me. Chandler Smith. Rod. I'm gonna try this once again and see how it goes. So here's my thought with this. Chandler Smith is set at 13.5. This isn't an 8.5. This isn't a 5.5. It's 13.5 for one of the faster cars in the field. Yes, it's loaded up top. I get that, but it's not loaded with 13 guys, right? So there's room for Chandler Smith to finish in here. He seemingly found some stuff out the last couple of weeks. Second at Daytona, 8th at Darlington, 4th at Atlanta. Now, 2 of those are super speedways, so take that for what it's worth, right? But he's popped up and had some good runs recently. Nashville, he finished 2nd. In Iowa, he was 8th. Sonoma, he was 7th. Well, that kind of goes into one of my points, right? Sonoma, he finished in 7th place. So had a good run there. Portland didn't go so great for him. Coda, though, he was in 8th place there as well. So good run. Chicago, he finished dead last there. But again, street course, I'm going to take that, it's a little less, right? Go back to the Roval in the fall, 12th place. Okay, that's still better than 13.5. We come to this track last season, Watkins Glen, we finished 8th place here. Well, that's better than 13.5, right? Fine, you want to count Chicago. Okay, finished 8th place there last year, so that's better. You throw Road America and Indy Road Course in there, he was nowhere close. He had bad finishes there. So Sonoma, though, last season, 14th place, so just outside of that. Coda last season, 12th place, just inside of it. So I think that the number is set down far enough. Again, if this was like an 8.5 or something like that, I'm probably going to take the worst then, because I kind of think that 9th to 13th spot is where he's probably going to slot in. He's in a fast car. He is a good driver, despite having screwed me multiple times this season. Going to give him another shot to do me good. We'll see if I decide to speak his name next week or not. But give me the driver of the number 81 Xfinity Series Joe Gibbs Racing car at better than 13.5.
I will understand if you need to step away from the microphone for a hot minute to sort of cleanse yourself. If you need to take a hot shower right now, that's fine. I'll just come back after I'm done with my next guy, because you're gonna need to go cleanse yourself. All right. I am going to listen. This guy's he just announced that he's going to step away from active full-time driving. And so we'll bring him up on the show a couple more times, because I think he's worth bringing up. That is Parker Kligerman. His finishing position is set at 9.5. I will begin and end my argument by saying he's 2 for 2 on this particular track in doing this. On the Watkins Glen course, he's finished twice inside of the top 6, which is better than 9.5. So you got to love that. He finished 6th here in 2013, way back in the day, and led 7. But last year, more importantly, 3rd place finish after starting 14th. This is a case, too, where, I talked about Austin Hill, where he's not good on road courses altogether. Not good at Watkins Glen, but good on other road courses. PK's actually been pretty decent on road courses, too. In 2023, he finished 5th at Sonoma and then 10th last year, so a half a spot outside of the 9th place finish he needed. Portland in 2023 finished 14th, but finished 8th this year earlier, so another top 9 finish at a road course for PK. What did he do at Coda earlier this year? He finished in 5th place, so another good finish for him there. And then the Chicago street course, a 9th place finish and a 4th place finish, both by my calculations better than 9.5. I know it's a street course, but left and right turns, if we're going to take all that into account, and his ability to navigate those, I think Parker Kligerman, better than 9.5, just feels like a good number. He's not going to be flashy. In fact, he may not be running in the top 10 for some of the race, but with all of the stage flipping, with all of the opportunities for him to sort of climb his way into the top 10, he may just find himself there and stick around. So I do like the potential for Parker Kligerman to finish better than 9.5 in this race.
Yeah, I like this as well. I was actually looking at this one, and I went to put in the doc, and you beat me to it. So I was going to give it out also. But Kligerman is a very, very solid road course guy, and I think that really good shot to find himself in the top 9 at the end of the day.
I feel like it's his temperament. Like, I feel like he's such a laid-back kind of guy that, road racing gives you a lot of road rage, in my opinion anyways. I would be, because sometimes
when I've done it on iRacing, I get a lot of road rage, Ron.
I've done it in my own driveway. What are you talking about? No, when you're on an oval and it gets stretched out, like, you make a pass every once in a while, but when you're in close proximity on a road course and you can literally see the car right in front of you for at least 5, 6, 7 miles, and you're just like, I got to get around you, and you're trying to get in, and that's like, yeah, I get anxiety just thinking about that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes people who are able to slow down and focus and just have that ability. And Kligerman does. And I believe he's done some other like road racing stuff throughout his career as a race car driver as well. And that probably plays into how good he's been. But we've seen him. I mean, that part-time 75 truck a couple years ago, dueling it out with Zane Smith, who was dominating the truck series at the time. He beats him. I think that was Mid-Ohio maybe. And we've seen some really, really good efforts from him on road courses, and I think that'll continue this week.
I agree. Okay, well, get out your pen and paper again. We're going to go over our underdog plays for this race. Cody started you out with Cole Custer, better than 8.5. I said Jesse Love would finish better than 12.5. Cody gave you Sam Mayer worse than 8.5. I said Austin Hill would finish worse than 9.5. Cody gave you Chandler Smith to finish better than 13.5. And I said good old Parker Kligerman would finish better than 9.5 for the Mission 200 at the Glen at Watkins Glen, New York. There it is, Cody. We've reached the end of the week. Congratulations, my friend. Go enjoy a nice cold beverage.
There it is, Rod. I'm going to go enjoy about 30 of them. Drink responsibly, friends.
He didn't say how long it was going to take him to enjoy.
That's 30. Right. That's over the entire weekend. I'll be very responsible about it. I might have a couple extras while the Huskers beat up on Northern Iowa tomorrow, but that's all right.
Beautiful stuff. Yes. All right. Well, then, Cody, let's send everybody off to enjoy their own version of whatever beverages they like to enjoy over the course of the weekend. And in the meantime, let everybody know where they can find you out in the wild, wild world.
Follow me over on the X, Rod, at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff over there. There's a lot of it. We'll just leave it at that. Go find it. And follow the show as well at NASCAR Gambling. Hit that subscribe button over on the YouTube. Rod, I believe when we return for the recap next week, episode 500.
How?
Let's fucking go, baby. How? Hell yeah.
I don't know how the world allowed us to get
so whoever's still listening right now on a Friday evening, a Saturday morning, whatever it is, 51 minutes into Xfinity DFS talk. That's how, Rod. So shout out to you. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you for the recap next week.
I want to know who's listened to all 500 episodes. If we could find somebody that's listened to all 499 episodes so far, hit us up on YouTube. Hit us up on a review or something. We curious to know who's listening.
I would be curious to see who's made it this far.
Yeah, me too. All right, follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in about everything I've got going on. Like Cody, it's a lot. So just keep an eye on it there. And there's a link in the bio to find it. So, all right. We'll be back on Monday to recap Watkins Glen for episode 500, baby. The amount of miles it takes for Cody and I to break a sweat. We'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, everybody, let's go racing and let it ride.